This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Anybody care what this guy thinks?
No! Well, let's get back to it.
How many times did we hear the word robust in that news bulletin? It must have been about 3 or 4 times. They're looking for a robust report, which is going to be delivered robustly, and they're expecting much robustness. Stop saying robust. It's a word I've never heard in my entire life. Nobody has ever said the word robust until about 2 years ago, when absolutely every blooming thing on earth that had anything to do with this government had to be robust. Just stop saying it. It just sounds weird. It would even sound weird coming out of Smug's mouth.
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
Well, talk about shocking revelations. Boris Johnson met Sue Gray, but neither Boris Johnson wanted the meeting and Sue Gray didn't want the meeting either. So they just bumped into each other in the corridor. Bodger Johnson met Sue Gray, if there is indeed such a person, to discuss whether she liked the sounds of Lady Sue Gray or preferred Baroness Sue Gray, or maybe she fancied being Her Majesty the Queen Sue. Oh, that didn't work. God, this show's off to a great start. Wait a minute. There it is. Never mind. Too late. Bodger could fix it for you, no problem, love. I'll get it done for you. Just sign here and all your dreams will come true, he said, or words to that effect. Actually, they are reported to have met to discuss whether photos will be in her Partygate report, as 30 people, including the Prime Minister, are expected to be named in her findings when they are published next week. Hands up who thinks that the name of His Imperial Bodginess will feature large as the instigator and chief party monster of the various rollicking, orgiastic shenanigans that happened over at his place. Hands up if you do think his name will be appended to all of that. And now hands up if you think that the report will say that the party didn't get started until His Bodginess had left to go and pray or give succour to the poor or save a drowning puppy. Keep 'em up while I count. Well, that's unanimous. Sue Gray is a real person and not just someone that was made up to make us think that the Tories were actually submitting themselves to scrutiny. And Sue Gray apparently requested the meeting, although her sources say that she didn't. And Boris Johnson's sources say that he didn't request a meeting. They just happened to be in the same office around the same table at the same time. It was a complete accident. I mean, that happens all the time, yes?
No.
Bodger Johnson told Ms. Gray that publishing images is her decision. Yeah, that might be what he said out loud, while winking his face off. Sue Gray apparently requested the meeting. That's according to some sources, probably Bodger's sources. And Sue Gray's sources said, what? She spoke with the Prime Minister about publishing a collection of photographs. Ooh, what a picture, what a photograph. From lockdown breaching parties that she has been investigating. Bodger Johnson said to Sue Gray that publishing images is her decision and report findings were not discussed, a senior government source said. Oh, please. Really? What, Bodger didn't ask her anything at all about something that could see the end of his premiership? If he actually had an ounce of morals or decency. Not a word was spoken, really. No inquiry made, no inducements offered.
Oh, no.
I got that one wrong as well. It was so close. It should have been this.
No.
No. I am not performing at my most robust. Where am I? Yeah, so they met. And Boris didn't ask her any questions about how how's that inquiry into me going? Said not one word about it. It's not like him, is it? Around 30 people, including Bodger himself, are being contacted by the Cabinet Office to warn them of the contents of the document ahead of its publication, if indeed there is such a thing. And they have until tomorrow to respond to Ms. Gray, apparently. And at 1 minute before the appointed hour of the delivery of this report, who would put actual money on the government instigating another report into the Sue Gray report so that they won't be able to release the Sue Gray document or comment any further until the new report has been reported. Anyone want to bet against that? Anyone at all? Angela Rayner, out of the Labour Party, said public confidence in the process had already been depleted and people deserve to know the truth. We can't handle the truth. So the government is kindly keeping it from us by instigating millions of pounds worth of investigations into what went on, when they actually, of course, know full well whether they were at a party or not, don't they? That's the thing. This whole thing, and the police investigation too, is our money that this government is spending on trying to get itself off the hook. Kick the matter down the road, hoping we'll forget and that they can get a break and are found not guilty. The right-wing press seem to have conveniently forgotten that when they rail against the waste of taxpayers' money. It's not us wanting the truth that's caused this cost. It's them refusing to confess what they know they've done. I mean, the only other explanation is that we're being run by people who genuinely do not know whether they are at a party or not, which is actually worse than them just being truth-twisting chancers. They shouldn't be in jail. They should be in a maximum security rest home for the permanently befuddled. And of course the gaslighting is in full swing, telling us that up is down and that they've been clear throughout as to what went on. Right. Yeah, I'm not making that up, by the way. Downing Street actually announced that the Prime Minister had been, quotes, clear throughout. I mean, the only thing they forgot to say was the word robust, which, like I said, it seems to accompany every ministerial statement for the past 2 years. Everything is robust to them. They use it so much I wouldn't be surprised if they got some sort of royalty payment every time they said it. See how many times we can squeeze the word robust into a sentence. Sources close to the inquiry expect the report will be published early next week, which sounds like the perfect reason for Bodge to fly off to some other country and pretend to be a statesman, as opposed to jetting off in this country and pretending to do somebody else's job. But don't fly off yet, Bodge, because there's a twist. We might never see it, because senior civil servants are threatening to block the publication of the report into Partygate after being told they will be named. And I have an oven-ready conspiracy theory for you right now. Would you be remotely surprised if those senior civil servants were being pushed to sue for the non-publication of this report because they are being named? 2 senior officials have indicated that they are considering legal action to prevent themselves being identified in the report by government's ethics chief, Sue Gray. The move could see the report watered down or even delay its publication by weeks, dragging the whole thing into the summer, when of course they'll all be on holiday, and by the time they're back in the autumn the world will have moved on and the greased piglet will escape again. Won't you, Bodge?
I can't comment on that.
But, you know, he's special. He gets away with everything. He has done his whole life. Others are not so special, and they get to be scapegoats. Some people think that the higher up the chain you go, the less punishment gets doled out. Senior civil servants have received special treatment. Junior officials have been thrown under a bus. It's the Bodger way. Everyone in his orbit eventually gets crushed under the wheels. One junior official had received 5 fines over events they had been told to attend by their bosses. Wow. Isn't that great? A source said you're talking about a young 20-something official who is facing hundreds of pounds in fines, while the people who organised the events got away with it. On a moral level, it's pretty difficult to stomach, they said. Which should be the slogan of the next Tory party conference. On a moral level, it's pretty difficult to stomach. Hey, Bodge? Yes. And of the other inquiry, well, there were calls for Scotland Yard to explain how Bumptious received just the one fine for his 56th birthday gathering in June 2020 when indoor mixing was banned. On his birthday! They could also explain why the Prime Minister was fined for his presence at what was deemed one of the less serious parties, but not the other more serious ones. And why Cabinet Secretary Simon Case has not been fined. He's the one who had to recuse himself from running the civil service inquiry after reports of a Cabinet Office Christmas party surfaced. And the Met declined to identify anyone in its £460,000 investigation, which took a team of 12 detectives examining 345 documents, emails, door logs, diary entries, witness statements, 204 questionnaires, 510 photographs and CCTV images. And all because this administration bet on either getting off scot-free or us getting bored with the story if they dragged it out for long enough, either option being better than admitting what they'd done right away. And after all, it's not their money that they're spending, it's ours, so there's very little downside for Bodge and his cast of indefensibles. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
Oh, hello.
Some texts and tweets and such from last night. Pamela tweets, went to Madrid a while back, and I would agree that unless you really go to an expensive restaurant, the food wasn't great. Alicante has fabulous restaurants and really good prices. Try there next time. It's 23 degrees here in Alicante at midnight. Thank you so much, Pamela, but we don't wish to know that. Blooming freezing over here. I mean, I was thinking of putting the heating on. Isn't that terrible? It's practically June already, which means it's almost the end of summer. It's Christmas! And I just looked at the weather. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? Someone's stolen my phone! I'm not panicking or anything. A moment. Ah, there it is. Just as I suspected. Where I put it. Relax, everybody. No need for an inquiry. Yeah, I just looked forward at the weather, and it's not at all like I said it was going to be yesterday. It's just really dreadful. It's going to be into the 50 degrees Fahrenheit next week.
Oh no!
50 something. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Let's have a call in County Durham. Hello, Sean.
Hello, mate. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Can you tell me why oh God almighty,
Take a breath. Big breath
what do you
in.
call it, that
You're not breathing. Take a big breath. Now just calm, relax, take a big breath in.
Grace,
You're not paying attention to anything I'm saying. Sean, listen to me.
Grace,
Why? What's the point of me even being here? Listen to me, Sean. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, mate.
Right,
yeah.
okay. Pay attention to these instructions. Take a deep breath in.
Right.
He's not doing it.
Grace report, that's what I was on about. Why has it got to go to the halfwit at number 10? Why doesn't it just go straight to the public?
Right, why didn't you take it?
He can use Tipex.
Why didn't you take a big breath in when I told you to? It's just air. I'm not trying to poison you.
But I don't understand why it's got to go to number 10 and why they already had a meeting anyway.
Right, I don't understand why you refuse to take a deep breath in. What's that about?
There you go. Is that all right?
Right, you're supposed to hold it.
I just don't understand why it's got to go in.
Because he is the invigilator. It goes to him. He is the person that will decide about who gets punished one way or the other. As weird as it might sound, he is the person that decides whether he is guilty or not and what his punishment should be. I bet he'll probably give himself 6 of the best. Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Has he had a meeting with the police as well? Has he conned them? Has he corrupted them as well, like?
I don't know. I've got no idea. They seem to be. They seem to be very close. Him and the police. They've spent a lot of time in each other's company. Well, at least they should do.
He's supposed to be in at 6 parties. He only got fined for 5.
He didn't. Yeah, he got fined for 1.
No, there's something serious not right. There's something not right, mate.
Okay, well, can you look into it for me, Sean? As soon as you let that breath out. Thanks a lot, mate. Very, very uncooperative. 0345. I mean, these were simple requests. I didn't ask him to go and drink a cup of bleach. Just breathe air in. Collect your thought. More texts and tweets from last night. Gary texts, did Scotland Yard's high bar for evidence serve champagne? Did Scotland Yard's high bar for evidence serve champagne?
Booze.
It's a listener with material.
Oh, no.
I'll let that one pass. Good one, Gary. Caroline says, I'm an OAP, and for the last month I have not used any gas because I cannot afford to top up my smart meter, no hot water, no heating, sitting with a blanket trying to keep warm. But even if I don't use gas, they're charging me 38p every day. So if I don't use any gas for the next 11 months, I'll still end up in debt of 140 quid. No wonder they're making so much profit. They're making so much profit, they don't know, they can buy, they're laughing so hard they can hardly count. Money. Just don't take a slice of my pie. Weirdly, the government seems to be defending the fuel giants. And the fuel giants are saying, no, it's okay, take some. The government's saying, no, they can't afford it. And the fuel giants are saying, no, really, it's okay, just take some. How bizarre is that? So what is that about, I double dare you to explain to me? The government is saying that the fuel giants can't afford it. And then when we scoff at that excuse, they say, okay, well, they won't invest in their future. And the fuel giants say, yeah, we will. We've made all our decisions. It won't make any difference one way or the other. And the government says, okay, they'll pass on the costs to you, the customer, so you'll have to eventually pay the tax yourself. And the fuel giants say, no, we won't. It's a fair cop. It's a windfall tax. I mean, we weren't expecting to make this much money. That's why it's called a windfall. So why is the government trying so very hard to defend the staggering profits of multinational corporations when the corporations themselves are saying, yeah, it's okay, take some. We got so much money we don't know what to do with it. I mean, literally, they've got no idea what to do with it. It's coming in so fast they can't count it more quickly enough. So explain that to me. Texts and emails from last night. Chris says, imagine you've broken the law but have a job interview coming up. Do you think the police would kindly wait until after so they don't influence the outcome? They did it for Bodge. If you were accused of a crime, would the police send you a questionnaire? They also did that for Bodge. Not to mention guarding number 10 whilst party lights beamed from the windows. Yeah, turn that racket up, they said. But don't get the idea that it's one rule for them and another rule for everybody else. That's completely untrue. It's no rules for them and all of the rules for everybody else. Get it right. Let's have Bordeaux. Nick.
Yeah, hi.
Nick.
Yeah, I listen to the show regularly and enjoy it, but usually, I'm an hour ahead here in France. And so usually I'm half asleep while I'm listening to you.
You're an hour ahead. Well, what's the rest of this show like?
Well, it's I'm half asleep. I can't really tell you, but it's pretty good. I enjoy it.
Right. Well, I can't wait till it happens.
Yeah, well, exactly. Anyway, my point is this Sue Gray report. There seems to be some debate about the photos. Well, whether they should include the photos. And I'm wondering, you're a man of the world. Do you think that there might be some sort of not bunga exactly, but some sort of robust snogging or something like that?
Some photographs, candid snaps, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yes, we're thinking along the same lines there. And so, were that to be the case and it was published, do you think that would sort of be bad for for Boris and the Tories, or make him sort of a super he-man and the electorate would massively vote for him as a sex symbol.
If Boris Johnson was caught in flagranti delicto with somebody that he shouldn't order on a photograph and it was published, the only thing that will happen with that is that he'll start the world's most successful OnlyFans site.
Disgusting.
He'll make billions. All right, thanks a lot, Nick. 0345 6060 973. I should have asked him to take a deep breath. Chris texts, imagine you broke the... Oh, no, I read that. Will says, I get really excited hearing the music leading up to midnight because it means that it's time for a new Wordle. No, I don't think I've played that game since they ruined my lunch with the word midst. Midst. I stared at that for ages, refusing to give up. MIDST. Midst. Graham says Britain's national anthem should be "Help" by the Beatles.
Rock and roll!
Yeah, help. We need somebody. Please.
Thank you.
Let's have Wanstead. Sophie.
How are you?
I'm great, mate.
Belated happy birthday, please.
There's something wrong with your phone there, Sophie. We're missing the first syllable.
Me now.
No, it's like it's like a walkie-talkie, and you've got the thing. You haven't pressed the thumb button in to speak. Broadsword calling Danny boy. Broadsword calling Danny boy.
Singing from a bunker.
No, I'm gonna get you to call back because that's terrible. I can't bear that. I want to hear every single syllable that you're speaking. We'll get her back on another phone. Post another phone to her straight away. It's on me. Sarah says, you should try a pizza with gorgonzola on it. I tried it in Italy and it was very nice, says Sarah. I have tried a pizza with gorgonzola on it. And it was very nice. With maybe some candied red onions. Oh, now you're talking. Now I want one immediately. Alana tweets, we've just spent 7 days driving along the Costa del Sol. Our windscreen was splattered every day with insects. Plus, I got bitten on my bum several times and my legs. Really? Who by? Anyone you know? She says, plenty of bugs, and I was breakfast, lunch, and dinner for them, says Alana. Costa del Sol, eh? Another excellent reason not to go to the Costa del Sol.
Correct.
Joe says, 10% off for over 60s in Iceland. I booked a flight for Tuesday. Are you in for a big surprise, Joe? Huge. How many of these have I got left from last? Oh, not many. Wow. I might actually get to read some of the texts that have come in for this show on this show. I'm now going through last night's texts. Elle says, if I find a receipt, can we return Johnson? Good idea, eh, Bodge?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
We'll swap you for something better, like, well, I don't know, Gavin Williamson, for instance. I mean, anything at this point. Even you know who.
I'm president. Can you believe it?
Might be an improvement. Well, he's a very smart person.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
But he's not a nice person.
Donald Trump is not a nice person.
Not a nice person. Your husband, Melania.
I don't care.
She's not bothered. I could do this all night. Believe me.
Believe me. Believe me. Believe me. Believe me. Believe me. Believe me. Believe me. Okay.
Okay. Vinny texts, oh my God, you sound like a fun version of James O'Brien. Fun version. Right. Now, do you mean a fun version as in smaller? Like fun size? Is that what you mean, Vinny? Because if that's what you mean, I'm offended. I'm a fun size version of James O'Brien. The snack you can eat between meals without ruining your appetite. Chris says the Elizabeth line should have been called the Brunel line. Oh, that's a very good idea. The Brunel line. Oh, I like that a lot. Elizabeth line. That's probably the worst name for any railway line in history. Name me one that's worse than that. Elizabeth line. 5 syllables. I know Piccadilly line is also 5 syllables, but Piccadilly line Just runs off the tongue. Elizabeth line. Well, it's not that bad. Elizabeth line. But the going between the th and the l is a bit of a problem. It's not a stop exactly, but it's close. Elizabeth line. Line. It's thl. Can you believe that this is on the radio right now? In fact, this is the only thing on LBC at the moment. You believe that? Brunel line. That's a very good idea, Chris. Maybe we should just, the power of the people should change that line. We'd never talk about it in that way. In any other way. In any other way. What's wrong with me? Answers on a postcard to the following address. The Brunel line. Of course, Chris says he revolutionised railways across the country. The Queen pulls the string for a plaque every time a station opens. Which one is more useful? Yeah. That's a good point too. The Brunel line. That's what it should have been. Which idiot decided that it should be the Elizabeth line? I wonder which idiot was responsible for that. Think. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 10:30. The news headlines with Serena Farrow.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
Everything is going extremely well.
You bet your life it is. There might be something wrong with your radio, though. Nicholas texts, if Smug ever becomes PM, I'm buying a dinghy and paddling across the channel. Yeah, well, with your luck, Nicholas, you'll probably get pushed back this way. Scott texts, if the royal family are still relevant, then can I put my name forward for the position of King of Scotland? You can put your name forward, all you like. Zach tweets, if we called the Elizabeth line the ER line, it might fool American tourists into thinking they're getting a train to hospital. Right. Okay. I once heard on a bus a group of American tourists. They were talking very, very loudly. Can you believe that?
No.
Yeah, they were talking loudly on a bus. They were the only people who were talking loud enough so that anybody not immediately next to them could hear. And they must have just come back from France and were slightly confused as to where it was that they, were currently travelling through. And they announced loudly to the bus that they were going to see Saint-Pose. You work it out. 0345 6060 973. Tottenham. Hello, Tom.
Hi.
Tom?
Yeah, it's just, I'm a Russian stuff. I think there's, can you hear me okay?
No.
Oh, well, I'm trying, but I think...
You certainly are. At least we can agree on that, yes. Something about Russians?
Well, I think there's a psychopathy in us, human beings. Mm-hmm. And I think this guy is completely...
I always go with your gut instincts. I mean, really, why did I give that guy more than 2 syllables? I thought it might be amusing.
Groovy.
Yeah, but not really. Oh, well, never mind. You live and learn, or in my case, you live. Altex, it's time to get rid of the royal family since the Queen failed to sack Johnson because of his attempt to prorogue Parliament. Her role to defend the Constitution is now redundant. Adopt a written constitution not written by a failed journalist we know. Change to PR governance. Realign with the EU. Just call it a different name. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we could change the name change the meaning of the word leave to join. Problem solved. Realign with the EU, just call it a different name. Change the NHS to a French model. Allow Irish reunification. It just seems neat and tidy. Keep England, Scotland, Wales together. Anything else? Says Al. No, I think you've covered it. Excellent work, Al. Take a break. You deserve it. 0345 6060 973. Wow, that's all of the texts and emails from last night. And already I've got 5 pages that have come in so far on this show. How do they get my number? Darryl says maybe we could rename Crossrail as the Regina Line. Alternatively, we could just stop naming things after an obsolete institution, says Darryl. Yeah, slim chance of that. Obsolete institution, like clinging on desperately to obsolete institutions is part of what we do for a living. That and, the financial finagling. Paul says Britain is probably the only place where a spectator stand would collapse and the band would keep playing as 200 soldiers just march past the casualties. Yeah. I don't know about that. I mean, I heard the news story. I didn't hear that they did that. But it does remind me of the time that I went to see Pink Floyd. It was at Earl's Court. It was one of those big places. Maybe it was Wembley, not the football stadium, but the Wembley thing that's next to it. Either that or it was out in the Docklands. Anyway, I was ready, sitting. I was actually hovering just slightly above my seat. Groovy. With Ann Tissey. And the lights went down and the band came on and, they started up that one note that starts, Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Shine On You Crazy Diamond.
Yowza.
And they got about a minute in, which was just the one note. And then all the lights came on in the stadium, like all of them. And I thought, well, I mean, I know they're from repeated experience, I know that they're big on their light show, but this seems a bit, I don't know, it lacks art. Yes, absolutely everything was lit up like, it was like floodlighting. But the reason was that the stand at the back of the hall had collapsed. And so they called the gig off a minute in. I was beside myself, but not as angry as for people who had actually travelled from another country to get to that point to see the gig. And Harvey, what's his name? Harvey Goldsmith? Yeah, the promoter. Harvey Goldsmith came out on the stage that had just been abandoned by Pink Floyd in what looked like a £10,000 silk suit. He looked so out of place, it was absolutely comical. And he's as wide as he is tall. And he had a microphone and was using the PA to say, very sorry about this, get out. Or words to that effect. And some people who I think had come from Holland or somewhere like that were down at the front of the stage among a group of other people who were remonstrating with Harvey Goldsmith. Them yelling up at this stage was really, really high. And Harvey Goldsmith looking down at them using a microphone which was being fed through the PA system that Pink Floyd were using. So you couldn't really hear what the crowd were yelling at him other than every now and again, I've come from Holland to see this show. How dare you cancel this show? But you could hear his answers because they came through loud enough to wake the dead. Oh, it was funny. I sat there for maybe half an hour watching this scene unfold. Oh, good times, eh? Apart from the people that were injured at the back. Apart from them, good times. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Oxford. Peter.
Hello.
Peter.
Hello?
Yes?
Hello. I'm sorry for my flippant remark, Nick. I wonder if you could help me. First time caller. I've been having nightmares since this Angela Rayner leg crossing incident.
Yeah, okay. I'm getting a gut instinct off that one too.
No.
Yeah, I think I've just saved the day twice. You're welcome.
Thank you.
0345 6060 973. Let's see what this one's like. Exeter. Hello, John.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. You're at an advantage because we're waiting on the line and we have to listen to you and it makes us laugh. Then when we get through, we're like, what was I going to say?
Right. Oh, I see. It's my fault.
Yeah, absolutely. And I spoke to you last night.
You did?
I did, about analogies.
Oh, yeah. An analogy.
Yeah, I told you about my analogies, and to be quite frank, I tried to share them with you, and in 24 hours they haven't got any better.
Well, I don't recall this conversation at all. How did it go?
We spoke about Dallas.
Oh, Dallas. I do remember mentioning something about Dallas, yes.
Yeah, I made an analogy about Johnson and Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, so... but you were quite sympathetic. But anyway, I've got another analogy.
That doesn't sound like me, but go on.
It's all your fault.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you like the Alien franchise. The Alien
do, yeah.
movies.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Who doesn't?
And, of course, who doesn't? I know you like them mostly.
Yes.
And the first film in 1979, when they're talking about the alien, it reminds me of Johnson, because they say this is a man this is a creature completely without conscience. Mm. And I think what we should do, Nick,
it's the perfect organism, was I think the actual line. And he is as far from a perfect organism as you could possibly imagine.
Correct. Correctamundo.
Mm-hmm.
You know what we need to do?
What?
Blow it out the airlock.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. Leave that with me, John. Excellent work. We're going to blow you out the airlock, Bodge, assuming we can find an airlock big enough. 0345 6060 973. Wouldn't that be great if we could just blow him out the airlock? Next. Martin says, last Friday you advised me to buy headphones because I love your show but my partner hates it. It didn't work. I had to keep asking him what you were saying every 30 seconds. But he's not listening though. Anyway, we're both listening now and I've gained you a fan. He is so sorry, says Martin. That's a very confusing text there, Martin. You had to keep asking him what I was saying every 30 seconds. But you were listening to me and he wasn't, because you bought the headphones because he doesn't like this show, or he does now. I'm confused, but the important thing to remember about this, Martin, is that I don't care. Ian in Wrexham says they're saving the Brunel line for HS2 and it finally opens in 2065. Yeah, by which time we'll all be flying in hover cars. By the time they finish HS2, it'll be ancient, out-of-date technology. Richard texts, call it the Lizzie line or the Betty track. Alan tweets, question, if all the predatory and sexually inappropriate people on the Tory benches were removed, would the government still have a majority? Answer, they wouldn't have enough for a five-a-side team. It does seem to be somewhat concentrated on the Conservative benches, doesn't it? Shenanigans.
Disgusting.
Of an unpleasant nature. What's that about? I suppose the people knew what they were voting for. That's what I heard. About 1,000 times. Yelled at me down the phone. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I really like you. Do you like me?
Yeah, sure, why not? Doreen in Uxbridge says, the Metropolitan line is a rubbish name, but it's shortened to the Met line. So I'm going to call this new service the Liz line. But the Liz line is awful, for a start. And second, I've never heard anybody call it the Met line. I used to live at the end of the Metropolitan line. I mean, you don't enunciate all of the syllables, and that is 6 syllables, by the way, Metropolitan line. You don't enunciate it all very clearly. You just sort of skip over the last part in order to get to the end. Metropolitan line. It is a rubbish name, Metropolitan line. Whoever says the Met line and Liz line is just terrible. On that subject, Anne says, what about the Lilibet line? No, abso-notly.
No.
Paul says, Britain is probably the only place where I expect no bread that. He says, midst. What about Cork? Oh, yeah, I remember Cork. Cork. Wordle, just after the Wordle thing was bought by the New York Times, people were apoplectic. They were spitting out their soup. They were so furious that they came up with the word caulk. C-A-U-L-K. I mean, people are on Twitter going, there isn't even such a word. 10 exclamation marks. Yeah, caulk and midst. Lunch ruiners. Thanks a lot, New York Times. Gwenny says, the word that I hear all the time is egregious, which wasn't invented until Bodger came to power. Well, see, now you've said it, I'm going to hear it everywhere, egregious. But robust is the name which seems to have been dug up from nowhere. I've never heard anybody use the word robust before about 2 years ago. And now absolutely everything on earth connected with this government is robust. Even Numbers Zahawi is robust.
So obviously,
he said robustly. Let's have a call. Let's try this one again. Wanstead. Hello, Sophie.
Hello, Nick. How
There
are
you are. I am great, mate.
Thank you. Like the Terminator, I'm back.
You're back.
Correct.
So can I just say before my main point, I think a few years ago, I did start people started using this phrase, and I made a mistake. I was speaking to Nick Ferrari, and I said, incandescent with rage, and he said, do you know what incandescent means, Sophie?
Yeah.
But what I meant was catatonic with rage.
Catatonic?
But now
Really?
And
do you know what catatonic means?
Enraged.
Catatonic
To
doesn't...
the extreme.
Right. Catatonic means enraged to the extreme. I don't think so.
Almost hypnotized with rage.
Catatonic.
Catatonic.
Can be served with gin.
No. You're so enraged you're going to burst.
You're in an unresponsive stupor. It's almost the exact opposite of what you just said.
Oh, maybe I've said it wrong again.
Yeah.
Now people are going to start saying catatonic with rage. But
but you can't be both in a catatonic state and enraged. Well, I suppose you can, but you wouldn't show it on the outside, the rage part.
yes, catatonic is like you're under a spell. That's what it means, doesn't it?
Well, it means unresponsive.
Yes. So maybe it's not
You're just lying limp on the floor. You're so angry you've lost control of your muscles.
And that's how I feel about Bojo, so I'm not going to talk about him today.
But see, I think incandescent actually sounds better because that means you're full of a strong emotion. So you can be incandescent with rage.
Booze.
Oops.
I thought so. So Nick Ferrari's wrong and I'm right. So we'll stay with incandescent. But
well, maybe it was the way you used it. Did you think of that?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Maybe I said it too calmly. But what I do want to talk about, is the utility companies. But before I talk about that,
are you kidding me? You keep saying how many things that you're going to talk about. So we're up to 3 things now. Can you get to the first part and then we'll deal with the satellite issues? Because you seem to be bedding in for the night on this show. How many issues do you want to get over in the course of one call?
Nick, life is complicated. Can you just wish me a belated happy birthday?
Absolutely. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Sophie. 0345 6060 973. I assume that was all she wanted to say. Probably not. This says, the Tories are shareholders in the oil companies? ? I know I didn't say it as a question, but I only got to the end part and then I realised that there was a question mark there. It should be like Spain, and they put a question mark at the beginning to alert you that it is a question.
Warning, warning.
Question coming up. The Tories are shareholders in the oil companies? Taxing them will knock their dividends? It's another question mark there, but that doesn't... I mean, you put a question mark at the end there as though that makes it make sense. It says, I presume that this is another email because it's in a different typeface. Nick, the basic law of politics equals the higher you climb, the bigger the feather bed you land on when things go wrong, says Hugh in Cumbria. Right. The stuff you learn on this show. Educational, no?
No.
Let's have Folkestone. Ian. Ian.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Oh, just in time. Yes, Ian.
Sorry. Yeah, no, thanks for another great show. It's great as always.
Well, thank you.
Thank
you. Appreciate it.
I think that unless, I don't know what it is. I mean, with history, when you look at history...
You get bored. I know I do. It's just a bunch of names and dates. Can't stand it.
That's true. But unfortunately, people don't seem to... I think Abbot is going to be in power for quite a while.
Forever, yeah.
But because the only reason we got the right to vote, it came after World War I. And Attlee, who had a stonky majority after World War II, you thought Churchill... We always, Churchill, he's so amazing, he's so great.
Ian, is this a history lesson?
Sorry?
After having previously discussed on this very phone call how much I hate history lessons, you're actually giving me a history lesson. I can't believe it.
What I mean is,
why is this happening to me?
What I'm trying to say is, Nick, is I think unless we have a major war, I don't think people are change their mind. I think they have this. I don't know what it is about Britain. I've lived in America and I've lived in Britain. And I don't know what it is. I used to work for an airline, and the pilot, you talk to him and he'd be like, "Yeah, you're right, mate." And then he'd get on the intercom, and then he suddenly, British.
There's another one. Struth, that's 2 in a row on the Nicky Abbott show. Good grief. What is happening here? I blame the producer. Well, he was okay, he just forgot where he was. He used builder's language.
Disgusting.
I protected your delicate ears from it. Of course, if this was television, then it would probably be illegal not to use that sort of language. Why there's a big difference between the two remains a mystery to me, and it always has done. I don't get it. But those are the rules, and they must be obeyed. This says, reassuring to read in the Times Rich List that Rishi's wealth is £730 million. He's ranked the 222nd richest person in the UK. That'll buy him a few more cashmere hoodies. Yeah, but it won't make him popular. And that is, I suspect, what he really wants. Oh, look at his little face. Looks so sad. Poor little Rishi. You remember Rishi Sunak, don't you? Bill! Yeah, that's him. I got detailed files about him. Don't you worry about that. You wouldn't believe what he's done now. Well, actually, you probably will believe it. How desperately needy. I mean, talk about somebody who's got it all and wants even more. Vomitous. Well, you try it. Genjirikon. Genjirikon texts. You read out the text from that Alicante restaurateur last night. What? Everything about this text is confusing. Genjirikon texts. See, I'm confused already. Says, you, at LBC, you read out the text from that Alicante restaurateur last night. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm at a disadvantage because I don't listen to this show. Gillian says, it's so warm in Glasgow tonight. Rubbish. Checking while you wait. Warm. Nonsense. Well, I suppose it's all relative, isn't it? Warm relative to what? It's 55 degrees and raining. So I seriously doubt that anybody could reasonably call that warm. It will, by the way, be raining all night long and all tomorrow and all Monday, but it's going to be sunny on Tuesday. What? But normal services resumed on Wednesday and Thursday, but not next week. Next week it's going to be dry. You'll actually dry out. Hey, by the way, this show gets squirted up the internet as a podcast. Did you know about that? Friday and Saturday shows get edited down. We take the news and the ads out, which means it takes less time to listen to. You'll use less electricity, and you still won't be able to pay your fuel bill unless you live in France or Alicante, for instance. It's called Nick Abbot The Whole Show and is available on an internet near you. Almost immediately, this show is over. The Friday and Saturday night show is available as a podcast, and there's boatloads of them up there. Loads to listen to if you, want to just tune out for a while. Turn off your mind, relax, float downstream. Get it on Global Player if you like. Global Player is available for Apple and Android, and it's in your favourite app store. Global Player, all of the stations that we do, and a boatload of podcasts as well, including the 3 that I do. Just do an internet search on my name, Nick Abbott Podcasts, and they will appear as though by magic.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Okie dokie.
Hello, boys.
Joanne texts, I'll read that one in a minute. Tesla Trev says, Sue Gray is to be made an Earl. Bath, Laura.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
I'm great, mate.
Did you have a nice holiday?
I did have a nice holiday. It was brief, but very, very pleasant. It was very, very warm, and I didn't do very much, which was perfect.
All right. I'll try to be brief and pleasant.
Too late.
Okay. So I am a student and I have a part-time job.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a cost of living crisis, but I can afford to take you out for a 3-course meal at the members' dining room. We just have to come up with good disguises. If you're tall enough, you can be the hat stand. I'm kind of short and chubby. I guess I go for Rishi Sunak. I hear that he's quite short. Anyway, I've got the 2021 edition.
He's not chubby. You could use him as a toothpick. In fact, I think Smug actually does.
Well, who can I be then?
Therese Kofi.
I'm not being Nadine Dorries because I've got, that's just too much.
I think you could be Therese Kofi. How does that sound? Look her up on the World Wide Web.
No, I know who she is.
Okay then.
I didn't realise her name was pronounced like that, though. To be fair,
I don't care how it's pronounced. That's the way I'm pronouncing it. Therese Kofi. Kofi. Coffee.
Yeah, well, I used to say coffee, but yeah. Anyway, I've got the 2021 edition of the members' dining room menu here. I emailed you about it.
Oh, right. So have you? No, you emailed me about it, or you emailed it to me?
I emailed you a link to it.
Oh, you did?
Because it's on the Parliament website, and it says, in the interest of transparency, we have shared the menus of the members' dining room.
Now, if you go onto the government website and look for this, what they show you is a menu that costs, I think, £48 for a 3-course lunch and something like £58 for a 3-course dinner. And I thought, well, that's a bit high. And if you just look a little bit harder, you realise that they're not telling you what the members pay at all. This is for outside organisations who can presumably hire rooms in there in order to, splash the cash about.
Yeah, I mean they got about a dozen menus on here.
Right.
Like you have to really find the one that says members. It's funny, the other one's called like Strangers Dining Room. It really sets them apart from the rest of us. The Strangers Dining Room. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, what are you in the mood for, food-wise? I'll pick something for you.
I think that let me see. I'd like something expensive for starters. What have you got? What's the most expensive thing they've got?
There's two tied for the most expensive starter, the same price. You could have cashel blue cheese mousse with pickled pear, celery jelly, and sourdough. Celery jelly. I hate celery. Why would you make it?
You hate celery? That's a ridiculous thing to say. How can anybody hate celery? It doesn't taste of anything.
Well, have you tried? Well, I feel like the taste is too much for me. But why you'd make that into jelly, which also tastes of nothing? I don't know why. But then
well,
the
it
other
depends.
thing...
It depends. I mean, jelly that tastes of something tastes of something. I mean,
Well,
not
anyway,
not aspic, because that's vile. Why would anybody want to eat aspic? Ugh. But a jelly, like, like trifle jelly. Do they have trifle jelly?
Not with the blue cheese mousse, but
Right.
the other option is oak smoked salmon with capers, onions, horseradish cream, and brown bread and butter. See, that seems a bit more...
Yeah, boring.
That seems a bit more salt of the earth kind of brown bread and butter.
But there's the smoked salmon part, what throws that salt of the earth issue right out the window, though. I always thought it's a bit... Why order smoked salmon in a restaurant? I mean, it's pretty much the only thing on the menu of any restaurant you go to that you could easily do to the exact same standard yourself just by opening a pack of smoked salmon.
What about celery jelly? Just buy some celery, buy some jelly, mix them together. But,
that's all there is to it.
Well, those both cost $3.95. So as far as I'm concerned, you can have both.
Yeah, I'll have both.
Push
yeah.
the boat out.
Right, what's the most expensive main course then?
Okay,
Here we
the
go.
most expensive
Now we're
main
going to start
course.
spending some real money. Go ahead.
Do you want to hear the cost first, or do you want to hear the?
No, I want to hear the item first.
Well, there's three items, and they're all the same price.
Right.
You've got on the theme of disgusting sounding things. You've got char-grilled calf's liver and bacon.
Oh
with
no, you lost me at liver. I don't wish to hear another word.
I feel like what would they appeal to Rees-Mogg on here would be something like the pig from Charlotte's Web bacon.
One of the 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Braised with children's tears. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. We've got deep fried haddock with pale ale butter.
Ooh.
Thick cut chips, mushy peas, tartar sauce, and malt vinegar.
Yes.
Yes.
What? How much is that?
It's £6.41.
I'll have it twice.
Yeah. Well, the last option is Korean spiced aubergine with polenta.
No. I want the fish and chips. In fact, I'm going to have the fish and chips 3 times, and I'm going to eat 2 and just throw the third one away.
Yeah, because why not? You know?
Exactly. Why not? Yeah.
You got to have one to throw at the
poor people,
the plebs outside.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Good work there, Laura. Excellent job. Well done. 0345 6060 973. You believe that? It's our money that they're using to enjoy themselves. Joanne says, on that subject, Nick, are you pleased to see that the Kashmir hoodie fan, Fishy Sunak, has spent £500,000 of us poor dopes' money on focus groups to repair his image? I'm more than happy to give him my opinion for free, says Joanne. Yeah, me too. I'm holding up my opinion of him right now, as a matter of fact. There you go. Take that. I have detailed files about that, Joanne, and it's much, much worse than you thought. But first, I must take this important call in Ashford and Milan.
Hey, all right, Nick?
Yes, good, thanks.
I think Rishi Sunak is probably the only politician who's in the Sunday Times rich list.
He is.
Correct if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And so he knows the struggles of the common person.
Yeah, sure he does.
Before I was going to talk about cinema, I was going to talk about the government's weird obsession for getting civil servants back into the office.
Yes.
And the incapability to understand physics. Because since 2010, the actual working estate of the government has gone down by 30%.
Yeah. But go on.
No, I was going to say a number of people have gone up. So I think there's 0.3 desks per person. So everyone can't come at the same time.
This is the new wing that they built on the war on woke. And it doesn't matter that it doesn't work, and it doesn't matter that it doesn't make any sense. All that matters is that they can make one group of us angry at the other group.
Yeah.
And that's what this is about. Smug even said it himself. He said, why there's people who have to go to work, and then he searched his mind for poor people's jobs, and he said security and cleaners. Like he cares about security people and cleaners. Please. And he said that those people have to go to work while, middle-class white-collar people can just lounge around at home stroking the cat. And so it's the war on woke is now building a class war element to it, and they are concerned with the little people now. Smuggies.
Yes.
Right. You may believe that. I couldn't possibly comment.
I just wonder if it's the newspaper editors who are putting massive pressure on the government to say, hey, look, do you know what? My circulation numbers are down, because when people are coming into the office, they're going to buy a paper. But if they're at home, they're going to get their news by just listening to the radio, watching TV. And my newspaper circulations are down.
By Jove, I think he's got it. Add that to the number of people that either are in cabinet or in the government, or that donate to the Conservative Party, that have interests in commercial property, and I think you've got both reasons adding up to what's happening now. Them trying to drag us back into an office that, as you described, doesn't exist anymore because they sold off the buildings.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes, I know a colleague works as a civil servant. Sometimes they have to wait, trying to find half an hour to find a desk that's free. Mm. One time I had to work in the canteen because there was no desk space.
I read that too.
So just very quickly, so I'm going to need your help actually here, Nick, because I am very keen to see Top Gun 2.
Yeah, me too.
Now, I've heard it's amazing. Now, I have a particular...
Amazing. What, like science fiction?
Yowza.
Amazing.
It may not be as amazing as Rocky 4, but I think it is going to be. Rocky 4 is the best film ever.
How can you even say that with a straight face? Which one is Rocky 4?
The one with Ivan, the Russian, Ivan Drago.
Right. What's his actual name?
Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren. That's right, Dolph Lundgren. And that's the best one?
That's the best film ever to be made in the history of filming. But anyway, but with cinemas, now, this cinema, it's not a coffee shop and it's not your living room. Oh. It's where it has to be pin drop silent.
It does.
Not noisy food like popcorn, and not people vaping or chatting or being on their phone.
Vaping? Oh. Really?
Yeah. There was one time a person in front of me was vaping, and all I could see is smoke, but not the screen. And I just despair of... I'm surrounded by morons, Nick. Now, what would you do in my position if you, in the cinema? Would you confront them, or would you...
Well, first of all, Milan, you've obviously made a big mistake, huge. You've obviously gone in the evening when there's people in there. Yeah, do not do that. No. No. Go in the daytime when there's no one there.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to see Top Gun 2 in the morning show.
Yeah.
And if my manager asks where I am, I'm going to say, Nick told me to go in the morning.
I take full responsibility.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, thanks a lot. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, I want to go and see that, and I want to go and see the Mission Impossible, whatever number it is that they're up to. Action adventure. There is precious little of it about because of the mad bat disease. There was that for a couple of years, which stopped all movement in that direction. Can't make a big action adventure film when people are standing around in masks or are being oxygenated. Plus, there's nobody who really does that sort of thing anymore, except for Tom Cruise. Now, he might have his wacky beliefs, and I don't care. All of those beliefs seem wacky to me. None of them really make sense. So he can believe anything he bloomin' well likes, just as long as he makes an excellent Mission Impossible 8, or whatever number we're up to, and a Top Gun 2. And just those two things, it does make you think that there are no new ideas anymore. It's like everything's been done under the sun. Actually, that might actually be true. I mean, there's been precious little... Well, I'm straying into territory I don't know anything about now. and you're thinking, like that makes a difference. But has there been much great classical music written in the last 100 years? I mean, like really top-notch. Has there been any great rock music released since, let's say, 1982? I think the answer is obviously no.
No.
Even Ozzy Osbourne would admit that.
No.
See? Have there been any really great films released since, I don't know, Terminator 2? I don't think so.
No.
So I think that everything has actually been done already, which is, it's less of a problem for the kids because they haven't seen all of the good stuff yet. They haven't gone down the back catalogue and seen and heard, all the things that we grew up with. But we have a problem is because we've seen it already and we're wanting something that will, thrill us like the old stuff did. But it's just not being made unless Tom Cruise can come up with the goods. And then somebody else needs to take over the mantle from him because I think he and I are the same age, which is scary. But he's busy jumping out of planes for a living, and I'm sitting here in air-conditioned comfort. And I'm still complaining.
Stop whining.
0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Shut up.
I can't. 0345 6060 973. Glasgow. Hello, Eric. An ecstasy
Hello,
of fumbling. Yes, Eric.
Sorry, good evening. You were sounding awful depressed there about saying there's no creativity and no rock bands and no good movies, nobody's getting any ideas anymore. It's a bit of a bloody shame, this. And it's down to our generation, unfortunately, because half of them are wouldn't let it cross the road themselves. We'll talk about that earlier on. And there's a work issue, a labour issue, I'd like to point out.
A work issue?
Work issue. There's over 1 million. The last presenter on the show was there's over 1 million unemployed vacancies in the labour market.
Yes.
And 1,300,000 people. I basically think that the generation we have don't really want to work. They don't have the work ethic.
No. I think you missed the point of those statistics entirely. We've got no end of people who are actually working. It's just that because we yelled at a certain group of individuals for 5 years to get out of our country, they actually did. And it turns out that all of the people that were saying that we might miss them weren't proffering Project Fear. They were proffering Project Fact.
What about all the people that are coming into the country that can't speak any English?
What about?
There's no job prospect. There's nothing at all for them at all. They're just going to go into a benefit system. And I've seen that. I live in just outside Glasgow, and I was in the city yesterday, and I've seen that many people in Glasgow coming into Glasgow. Mm-hmm. These people on the bikes and that.
Where have they come from? Where have they come from?
Well, they're coming from Europe. They're filtering them through, and this war's not helping, obviously.
They're coming from Europe? Whereabouts in Europe?
I would say mostly all around Europe. I would say
mostly all around Europe. Well, you sound like an expert, Eric.
They're filtering through.
Filtering through, right?
The Middle Eastern countries, right through Europe and into the UK, and there's that many people now.
Oh, so it's like a tsunami wave. We're being invaded.
Thank God it's Saturday night with you, I'm telling you that. Listen, I'll let you go.
Okay, you'll let me go. Can't wait to not speak to you again. Rich texts, a bit of a strange request, but Reggie and Ronnie, our French bulldogs, have just gone crazy with the puppy effect that you just played. If you could push the effects button again, that would be fab. Thanks for a great show, says Rich. It's not a request show, Rich. Do I sound like Anne-Marie Minhall to you? I don't take requests. Alice says, just been watching Gondoliers. Johnson and Co. sound just like a script for Gilbert and Sullivan, says Alice in Northwich. Well, I mean, what's smug like? I'll get to that in just a minute. But, maybe I'll do it now. Staff at the Department of Education because we were talking about this some moments ago. Staff at the Department for Education are working in canteens and corridors because there are not enough desks to accommodate them following the government order to return to the office. This is the calibre of the people that are leading this country. Get back to your desks, they say. People arrive back at the office and there aren't enough desks for half of them to sit at. Literally, there are twice as many employees as there are desks at the department's offices across the country, but they have been told to return to those desks after resident genius and ghostly hat stand, Jacob Smug, criticised civil servants for working from home, as part of his desperate attempt to find something for himself to do. He's been given the ridiculous titles of Minister for Efficiency, which sounds like something out of a Harry Potter film that would be played by a comic actor, like Leonard Rossiter, for instance. I mean, not actually Leonard Rossiter himself, of course, because he's dead. Mind you, if he wasn't moving, you might think that Smug had passed on quite some years ago too. And his other title, by the way, is Minister for Concocting Some Positives Out of Brexit. How's Brexit going, by the way?
Oh, fabulous.
So he's basically been given a couple of non-jobs just to keep him in the room at cabinet meetings. Maybe they do actually use him as a hat stand. And he's been wafting about, pointing a bony finger at an empty desk chair and sensing he could make himself useful by shoehorning an unwilling person into it. But as you might expect, he's cocked that up too. The head office of the Department for Education in London has 1,100 desks for 2,268 staff. Sheffield has 790 desks for 1,498 staff. Overall, nationally, there are 4,200 desks for 8,000 workers. That's according to analysis by the Schools Week website. The report showed that whole teams have been turned away from some offices because of overcrowding. And it's all thanks to Smug. And there aren't enough desks, of course, because the government sold the buildings and spent the money on, filling suitcases with beverages, probably.
Booze.
Exactly. But despite there not being enough room, this catastrophic clown show of a government are insisting that workers still go back to offices that aren't there anymore just to carry on their stupid culture war nonsense because they've got so little else to fight the next election on. We're going to be hearing so much of this. I mean, they half-heartedly say that they've got all the big calls right. You must have heard them say that loads. But we know that's rot. They haven't got any of the big calls right. They say that they've run the economy well. We know that's rot too. And they can hardly run on being the party of law and order, can they? So all they've got is making one group angry at the other and trying to convince the biggest number of them that they're on their side. Hence the woke war that they've instigated about work from homers, saying that the poor working class people can't work from home. And they should be angry at the middle class people who can. Which is an odd stance for a Tory party, until you remember that there's a little while to the next election, just enough time for fishy Sunak to come up with a tax cut, which of course will help the well-off the most, and that'll be job done. It's also so transparent, and it takes us for fools, and just enough people will probably fall for it. And it also, of course, has the advantage of starting a war with unions. The Public Commercial Services Union, the Civil Service Union, has written to Nadeem Numbers Zahawi, the Education Secretary, after accusing ministers of unprofessional and unfair political attack on our members. The FDA union, representing senior officials, said it had been inundated with concerns. So the plan seems to be working perfectly. Even poor people who would benefit greatly from union representation are easily persuaded to hate unions. Just look at the comment section under the Daily Mail on any story about them. I was doing that just today. You'll see things like, well, I haven't got anything at all and I'm being completely ruined by this government, but I'll never vote Labour. They're funded by unions. You should go. There should be some sort of test before you're allowed to vote. Honestly. I mean, that's just obvious. And, by the way, before you're allowed to procreate. That's not a controversial thing to say, is it? Mark Sawatka, General Secretary of the PCS, the Civil Service Union.